This is the last chapter about sales and marketing. Before starting, I've been asked to tell why I'm doing this. I've created this business that grew from zero to $200 million revenues, from zero to 1,000 employees, and I made this IPO at the Nasdaq. And now that I've retired from this journey, I wanted to share the blueprint of execution to all students and entrepreneurs that want to build a business. This is not an inspirational training, it's a training meant to provide a playbook of execution and a set of toolbox to make you successful, completely for free. Let's start with the last chapter. Um, in this chapter, we're gonna discuss random topics that can be useful to close, to seal the sales and marketing chapter. Let's start with the concept of board business support. There is this expectation from founders that the board can be engaged on deal to create pipeline or to push down the pipeline a specific deal. Rule number one: the deal should be very big to involve to use your board time. And there is a file, and I will share it in the future, that maps all the columns that will be useful to create a file where the board can access and be engaged. What are the rules of engagement here? Usually board know other C-level and investors. So we map here who are the people that we know in the organization, who are the investor, and then the board member can say, okay, I know some people there, maybe I can make a phone call. Is this working? In my experience, it never worked. But who knows, maybe it will be useful for you. Second concept: how to sell software to government or selling software to government. So first of all, I ran this analysis, and when I was still in my old company, and we see that for our industry there were $220 million all in federal government. Federal is centralized. Then there is a state in United States, which is another segment in our segment. And why to sell to government, or why to put in place a strategy to sell to government? Because usually it's resilient to economic downturn. The opposite: when there is economic downturn, the government spends more to keep the economy afloat, when the private companies cut costs. Vice versa, when there is an economy that goes up. Usually, it's another reason to approach government is government player usually are all company very weak, and when you go with your brand new software, very shiny, the wow effect, it's easy to obtain. And also, once you get there, once you have built your government presence, and it require a lot of investment, a lot of compliance, a lot of structure, a lot of process, a lot of cybersecurity, etc., 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 you have built a very high barrier to enter, and small mid companies cannot compete in this segment because it's very costly. Of course, for you, it's an investment that you have to make when you are already big. It's not an investment that a $5 million revenue company can make, except exception. Other topic: system integrators. Who are system integrators? Usually very big companies that work on customer specific project, deploy of new initiatives. Let's imagine digital transformation, AI awareness, adoption of a new software, etc., etc., etc. And partnering with them, and the reason to partner with them, the criteria on how they choose to partner with you, if will be discussed in the coffee break. That said, usually when they resell your software or they do the market for you, of course you have to provide your software a discount, but because of the fact that they are in charge of sales and marketing, the cost of customer acquisition is probably lower. There are interesting concepts here. Some are very well known by entrepreneur, but maybe not known about students. Maybe some students will look at this video. So I'm going to describe each one of them. Predictability. It's the art of not missing forecast. That means that it's an exercise that through an analysis, a deep analysis of pipeline and well done CRM input and data, usually you are very accurate on your quarterly prediction. It requires a ritual like the weekly pipeline review by sales manager, manager of the sales manager, sales operation team, etc., etc. Compensation. Usually, sales people, and we will discuss this also in the HR chapter, are the only people compensated with commissions and not with bonus. Marketing automation are all the software that automate a lot of activities like sending email uh, based on specific trigger. It's an industry segment on its own. Gong, we all know that Gong is a sales tool that analyze conversation and provide feedback and coaching opportunity for sales manager to the account executive and other sales people. Losing productivity is a concept we discussed already. That means that the more you go up market, the more you grow, the more people you need to perform a specific task. And then when you do your financial projections, you cannot rely on actual productivity KPIs. Wall loss analysis, it's a very important tool. You have to record every single deal that you won and lose, write why you won, why you lose it, what were your advantages or weaknesses, who you played against, and what was the reason of the winning and the losing. Having those detailed analysis will allow us to perform better in the future because you are not going to make the same mistakes, you're going to fill your gaps, etc., etc., etc. Usually are more important the loss analysis than the one analysis. Price, feature, and value, we discussed it already in the pricing, that usually a buyer buys you by price if it's small, medium by feature, big customer by value. Second concept, buyer journey is the stages that the customer, the steps the customer makes uh, from discover your product to the purchase of your product. It's important to identify because every step can be, a step where you act to improve, to make the journey smoother. Pipeline multiple. This is something that usually is not taught in universities, but in good economics times, the quarterly pipeline to be accurate, to hit the objective, the sales objective should be 3 times bigger. In moment of economic downturn, should be 4 times bigger than your end objective. Competitive intelligence are all the activities you do to map your competitor, to map the competitive environment. That said, if you run competitive intelligence on product, do not copy what they do. Otherwise, you will be an ugly copy of your competitor. Be original on innovation. Battle cards, those are all the elements that compare you against a competitor. So when a customer asks you, oh, your competitor is doing this, this, and that, what are you doing? What are you doing is having a script that address all the objections and throw, if possible, some dirt on your competitor. Like if you have the information that your competitor have been acquired, I would say, guys, these competitors have been acquired by a private equity, so they are gonna cut cost. Are you sure that? I mean, make your evaluation if they will innovate the product in the future, or maybe you are cheaper in some module and feature, or maybe you provide for free specific feature that they upsell. There are many elements to put in a battle card. New industry category. If you are lucky, you will invent a product that will have its own industry category and segment. Like 10 years ago, marketing automation wasn't existing. And then HubSpot, Pardot, and other came, and there was a new market segment. Sales cycle is the length and the phases during a sales negotiation. There is a direct correlation between ACV size and customer size and duration. The more the sales is strategic, the longer it is. the small the deal is, the quicker is the sales cycle. Mistakes to avoid in sales and marketing. Not having your tool integrated. If buyer journey and sales cycle are flow that involve different tools, different KPIs, you need to integrate all those tools. Otherwise, you will never have an organic view, coherent view, because you have to jump from one tool to another. Failing to react quickly to signals. If your pipeline is slowing down, in order to fix it, the fix you apply today, assuming that it will work, it will show results 9 months after. How to fix that? The only way is to have a resilient pipeline generation where every initiative to build pipeline overperform the pipeline result itself, the pipeline objective. So if one of those initiatives start failing, other will overperform and cover the slowdown of a specific initiative. In mid-large enterprise, we already have seen that inbound is overrated. And let me repeat, it's overrated because you don't have control of the inbound activities like SEO, SEM, online advertising. And the more you spend, the less you bring home. Underestimate productivity loss, same again and again. When you go up market and the deal is very big, probably account executive is not enough to close the deals. You need the help of sales engineering and sales consultant. That means three salaries to chase a deal when before you were one salary to chase a deal. This is If you want to partner with the big four system integrator or similar player, you have to start conceptualize the concept of threshold. What is the minimum threshold in terms of generated revenue per year that make the big consulting firm excited to work with you? There is this legend in US, but it's half legend, let's say, that in order to get on board one of the big four with you, they have the possibility to create at least $100 million of revenues on top of your product. Can be 10 million in UK, 1 million in Italy, doesn't matter. What is important is that your product strategy, your professional services strategy need to factor in the possibility to partner with big consulting firm, creating a friendly integration, value added service, professional service ecosystem that can give the possibility to big four to reach this threshold. For example, Force.com, which is the language behind Salesforce, is made to create a great ecosystem and environment. I'm not saying you have to create your own language. You can create workflow, you can create many other things that give the possibility to those big consulting firms to generate a lot of revenue on top of your product. So, next chapter will be human resources. We will start analyzing how the HR department evolves when you are 0 and 1,000 employees, and then we move to very important topics.